Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I will compare the two Samyang 40mm f2.8 lenses for Sony E-mount, the old manual focus lens and the new autofocus lens. Both are ultra-wide angle lenses developed for use with full-frame cameras, but they can also be used with APS-C cameras. The focal length is then reduced from 40mm to 21mm. With their impressive angle of view, they are ideal for landscape and panorama photography. Thanks to their fast aperture, the lenses are also impressive when used in low light and especially for asset photography. I have took this picture with the old model. As always, first I will talk about the specs of these lenses. Then we will do an image comparison test, and after that we will come to the conclusion. Both lenses have the same focal length of 40mm and the same aperture of f2.8. The manual lens was originally designed for Sony A-mount and was adapted for Sony E-mount in 2014. The autofocus model came into the market of the end 2016 and should bring some improvements. In general, it has become smaller and looks much more modern than the old model, but we will soon see in our test if it's also better in terms of performance. Both lenses differ a little bit in weight and length. The newer model is 30 grams lighter and also more compact. But the biggest change is inside the lens. Where the old model had 14 elements in 12 groups, the new model has 14 elements in 10 groups. The newer spherical lenses are designed to ensure sharp photos right into the corners of the image and prevent chromatic aberrations. Furthermore, the new model now has 7 instead of 6 aperture blades, which should ensure a better bokeh. The biggest improvements, however, is the new autofocus. I have to say that it works very well. Also with 40mm focal length from a distance of 7 meters, everything is sharp anyway due to the hyperfocal distance. Nevertheless, the autofocus is very helpful, especially at close range. You can buy the new model for around €499 brand new, and the old model is not available anymore, but you can get it on the used market for €150. As I mentioned at the beginning, the old model is a manual focus lens, so it has no communication with the camera. That means that you cannot see the aperture settings on the display and no settings in EXIF data as well. Furthermore, the in-camera corrections are missing. The autofocus model no longer has any of these missing points and works perfectly with the Sony camera. But now we will come to the interesting part of this review, the side-by-side image comparison. Have fun! Okay, now we are here on our side-by-side comparison. You see here on the left side the autofocus lens and on the right side the manual focus lens. You see we have no access data here like on the autofocus lens. And I've set the aperture on both lenses on f2.8, and what we see directly is that the older model is a little bit darker and has also a strong vignette here. And the colors are better controlled on the newer model. Both pictures are RAW files with no in-camera corrections. And what is also interesting is that the older model is wider than the newer model. The camera was in the exact same position and I've changed only the lens. And you see, look at the chimney here and the trees. The older model is wider than the newer model. And this is the result with the Lightroom profile. And as you have seen, we had on both lenses a barrel distortion, but it was better controlled at the newer model. But we have still a little vignette here. But what about the sharpness? Let's zoom in. And you see on the first look, the sharpness on the newer model is much better. Look at the chimney and the trees here. The newer model had better controlled colors and the sharpness is much better than the old one. But the old one is wider, you see it here. But what about if we raise the sharpness here in Lightroom, let's say 30%. Let's see what the result now is. Okay, on the first look, both images looks much crispier here. Let's zoom in. Okay, we have a huge improvement in terms of sharpness. But the newer model, of course, is sharper than the older model. But the older model, look at the trees. Now we have a huge step forward in terms of sharpness. And now I can live with the sharpness here from the older model. It's not the sharpest lens, but if you edit the pictures here in Lightroom, you will get pretty good results. So another interesting part is, of course, astrophotography. As always, both pictures here has the same settings. We have here the older model on the left side, the newer model on the right side. And on the first look, you see the vignette here on the older model. And if we zoom in, yeah, here you see the newer model is much sharper. Look at the trees here, but what about the stars? Okay, here you see a little bit of chroma at the old model at 2.8. But here on the corners, also on the newer model. And here you see how strong the vignette on the older model really is compared to the newer model. But in the edges, the stars looks better than on the newer model. You see here some color fringing here and some chroma. What about the left side? And here the stars. Yeah, the newer model is a little bit better controlled here. But both models suffers from color fringing. But the newer model handles it a little bit better than the older model. But look at the trees. The sharpness is much better on the newer model. And of course the vignette. Welcome back. As you have seen in the comparison, a lot has changed in the new autofocus model. It is not only more compact, it has a better construction, it is also much sharper than the older model. The new coating of the lenses has also improved the colors. The sharpness doesn't come close to the 40mm f1.8 G Master Sony lens, but it still delivers good results. I have compared these two lenses too, and you can find also a review about it on my channel. I will link it. You also have to keep in mind that a 40mm focal length is a very special focal length that is not probably used very often, so you can live with some compromises. Both lenses are not very expensive, so I would go straight for the newer version. It simply has too many advantages over the old lens to justify the extra cost. What do you think about these two Samyang lenses? Do you see it different than I do? Feel free to write the comments down below. And if you are interested in one of these two lenses, you will find the link in the description. And if you like this test, I would be very happy if you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, please write in the comments. I will try to answer everyone. See you next time.